Hello and welcome to another edition of the Homeschool educational supplement that we know as interesting stuff. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And I hope you're tuning in for a knowledge drop, because today we're diving into the topic of the life of Albert Einstein. We will be looking into who he was, what he did, and what some of the loves of his life were. And so to begin with, Albert Einstein is most commonly known as a theoretical physicist, which is kind of an odd term because I thought physics dealt with a type of reality, but they call it theoretical. But then science begins with ideas that we need to test. So perhaps it is a good term after all. Anyway, he is widely acknowledged to be one of the greatest physicists of all time. And he's most commonly known for developing the theory of relativity, but he also made important contributions to the development of the theory of quantum mechanics. And in addition to that, he was also very vocal on political and social issues in society. Anyway, how did he get to his great theory of E equals mc squared? Well, his life definitely wasn't a long straight road. It had a lot of bumps and bends and curves in it. Let's take a look. He was born in Ulm in Germany on the 14th of March 1879, and as a child it's said that his favourite toy was a compass. He also enjoyed solving maths riddles and building towers out of playing cards. Have you ever tried that, to build towers out of playing cards? Quite tricky, that one. You need a lot of patience for sure. Anyway, Einstein was such a prodigy that by the age of 16, he wrote his first scholarly paper on the force of magnetism. This, however, was not enough to get him any extra credits, because despite being super brainy, Einstein did quite badly at school. Probably because he said that he found it so boring. And you can imagine, for someone like Einstein, having a creative mind and wanting to do experiments didn't match well with the old school traditional sitting at a desk style of education. Apparently, one teacher even said right to his face that he would never amount to anything. Eventually, for him, enough was enough, and he ran away from Germany to avoid military service and ended up at college in Switzerland. Average grades there meant that he struggled to get a job, but a friend found him work at a patent office. He described it as dull, but it did give Albert time to do his own calculations. And you know what? In the back of my mind, I wonder about all of those different patents coming into the office there. And I wonder if he picked up any of his theories or ideas from any of those papers. Anyway, what we do know is that Albert had an extraordinary year in 1905. When at the age of 26, he published 4 scientific papers. His work was a revolution, and it turned modern physics on its head, introducing mind-blowing theories on light, atoms, relativity, and energy. One of the things that he managed to figure out was that energy and mass are different forms of the same thing. This was summed up by his famous equation, E equals mc squared. Now, not everyone liked or understood his ideas, partly because he had problems explaining them to a lot of people. But in 1909, Albert was finally made a professor at the University of Zurich. There, he continued tweaking his work, and in 1915, he published his theory of general relativity, all about gravity and how time and space can bend. This was an amazingly revolutionary idea for its time. However, it wasn't until 1919 that one of Albert's theories that gravity can bend light was proved during a solar eclipse, making him at that time the most famous scientist alive. Fame beckoned, and during world tours, thousands would come to watch him speak. And eventually, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. His outstanding work revolutionized the way we think about time and space, and also paved the way for developments like the television and nuclear energy. Later in life, in an attempt to avoid persecution for his Jewish ancestry, Albert spent lots of time in America, where he was adored for his eccentricity, which included the habit of consistently trying to ruin serious photos. When Hitler finally came to power in Germany in 1933, Albert decided that he would stay in the USA permanently. And eventually, he became a US citizen in 1940. Rather ironically and tragically, Einstein's work with atoms led directly to the invention of the atom bomb, which was a terrible weapon that claimed hundreds of thousands of Japanese lives in World War II. Albert was forever horrified at this use of his work and spent the rest of his life campaigning for world peace. But throughout his life, physics was not his only passion. Einstein early on developed an appreciation for music. In his later journals, he wrote, "If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. And to be honest, I get most joy in life out of music." His family was musical, and his mother played the piano reasonably well, and she wanted her son to learn the violin. Not only to instill in him a love of music, but also to help him assimilate into the culture. So Einstein began playing when he was 5. However, he didn't enjoy it very much. Like many children who are forced to play music, they reject it at an early age. However, when he turned 13, he discovered the violin sonatas of Mozart, whereupon he became enamored of Mozart's compositions and studied music more willingly. Einstein taught himself to play without ever practicing systematically. He said that love is a better teacher than a sense of duty. At the age of 17, he was heard by a school examiner in a local town while playing Beethoven's violin sonatas. The examiner stated afterwards that his playing was the most remarkable and revealing that he'd ever heard, and was of great insight to the emotional content of the great works. What struck the examiner most was that Einstein displayed a deep love of the music, a quality that remains in short supply amongst many professional musicians even today. Once he left school, music still had a pivotal and permanent role in Einstein's life. Although the idea of becoming a professional musician himself was not on his mind at any time, he often played with many professionals and performed for private audiences and friends. Chamber music was also a regular part of his social life, and he is also known to have played together with another famous physicist, Max Planck. Towards the end of his life, he still played the violin, and it is said that many were impressed with Einstein's level of coordination and intonation, even at an old age. And you know what? I think it's great to have more than one interest in life. I think it's wonderful if you can diversify and perhaps even share ideas across different interests. And what about you? Do you like music? Have you checked out some of the great pieces of classical music in history? Perhaps you should if you haven't. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope there was something new, something interesting, something unusual in there for you. As always, under the video there will be some comprehension questions where you can check your understanding. And if you'd like a different topic, drop me a line and let me know. Maybe I'll look into it. So that's it. Take care. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one.